Welcome, everybody, back to the podcast of Job Adventures with Ed and Danny. I'd like to start off by saying thank you to everybody that has listened to the first podcast. Um, I think it surpassed my expectations, to be honest, but I am really excited for this, and um, I'm, I'm just happy that it was an awesome experience. It's a good hobby, and yeah, our first ever guest, our first ever guest, um, our first guest ever. There you go. I'm sorry. Our guest began her correctional officer's journey in 2016. She's worked in two facilities where both they range from a level 1 to a level 4 security. Prior to her correctional officer's career, she worked 5 years at Pilot Travel Centers and is a proud graduate of Madera High class of 2010. Lupe, welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Ooh, I feel like I'm a guest on Call Her Daddy.
Oh God, who's Alex? Who are you? Oh God.
You don't know who Father Cooper is? That's a shame.
Okay, so Lupa, welcome. We're very happy to have you. Did you get to listen to the first podcast?
No, I'm sorry. My mom actually, hold on.
Wow.
My mom actually told me today, I listened to their first podcast and I look at her and I'm like, oh shit, there's one already.
Damn. Okay. So do I.
Hey, I'm a mother. I got things to do.
Yeah. I think we all have a lot of things to do, but hey, didn't you have an hour drive from Outwater over here? I'm just saying that's
Yeah, but I have to play lullabies for my son, so he stays content
good
in
excuse.
the car.
Good excuse. Okay, so a little quick deep dive. Um,
So, Lupe, I think we'll give you a little bit of background of what this podcast is about. Ed and I just had an idea of having a podcast where we invite guests from different backgrounds. As some of you heard last week, Ed and I started at Pilot Travel Centers, worked our way up there, and then eventually ended up in different careers. Ed has had different paths, as I've had different paths, and we're just curious of all the jobs that are out there, because there's times when we are stuck in ruts, and sometimes we don't know what's out there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a job for almost everything. It's just that we just don't know about it. And this is the goal, just inviting people over.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When it comes to careers, we really don't know where we're going to end up because I for sure never saw myself as a correctional officer. I didn't even know what a prison was.
Okay, so before we head into that, sorry guys, I had technical difficulties. I had to take off, but it's not that I forgot what I was gonna say. But hey, before we kind of dig into all that, so when you were kind of, I think high school is kind of where everyone kind of starts thinking like, damn, what am I gonna do for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
How am I gonna get that paycheck or whatever, whatever goes on in people's life. Um, I know there's people that are like, hey, I'm certain I want to be a doctor, or I'm certain I want to, go and jump into this type of field. What were you thinking when you were kind of in high school?
Well, I think I started thinking about that stuff my senior year. I didn't realize how serious it was until you're like almost gonna graduate. It's almost like you can't even enjoy your senior year because you're like in a rush to figure out what you're gonna do. And they always say enjoy the moments. But I remember there was a time I wanted to join the Air Force, and I went and I did the classes and everything. And then I said, no, you know what? I want to be an animal cop. I loved animals so much. I didn't know what I wanted to be. So I think my mind was just trying to find something to keep me happy, like of a career that I wanted. Because, ultimately you want to work, you want to love your job. So I didn't know.
So animal cop, or they're like,
Well,
what is that?
there's a reason for that.
Are there
I remember,
handcuffs for like dogs and stuff? Or
No,
what?
it's okay. So there was a show on Discovery Channel. I think it was called Animal Cops Houston. And I remember watching it. And essentially they're law enforcement that come and like verify cases of abused animals, like farmers and
okay.
stuff, or neighbors that are neglecting their animals. It could be anything, or I don't know, neglect or
No,
something.
it
I've
makes
always
sense.
loved that.
I get it.
So I wanted to do that, but my dumbass didn't realize you can't get a job like that in California. So I don't know. And then I was embarrassed because like senior year, my senior night of soccer, you know how like they do that whole announcement in front of everybody. Well, that's what I had wrote, that I wanted to be an animal cop. So when they're announcing like your name, oh, this is Guadalupe who wants to be an animal cop. I looked at my mom and I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't say nurse or a doctor. Like I had to say animal cop. But no, I mean I didn't go down that path.
Okay, so you didn't go down that path, but now as you're older and now, correctional officer. But is there such thing as an animal cop here in California? Because you just stated that, you
Yeah,
know, you're like, oh, I'm so dumb that to think that
but
there's an
it's
animal
not.
cop.
Yeah, it's not what you think it is.
Okay,
It's really not. I think it's like a pound. You're collecting the dogs that are out on the streets, and then you take
yeah.
them to. I think that's what it is.
I'm again no expert, but I think sheriff's departments deal with these things as well.
Yeah,
So I mean, just if anybody out there is
yeah.
thinking of something like that, I
That's what I'm
think
thinking.
maybe the sheriff's department. I don't know. That's why I asked you the question.
I mean, I guess I should have said I wanted to be a vet if I wanted to help animals out. But I mean, I don't know. But point is, I didn't end up choosing that route. So
No, that's good. Um, did you think of going to college? I know you mentioned Air Force, but did you think about going to college?
yeah.
Or
So when the whole military thing didn't go through,
So wait, why didn't that go through before we get into college? Like what?
okay, so you go get checked, whatever. You can't get any tattoos or you can't do anything while you're in the process. So I got a tattoo because remember our brother was sick at that time and my can we cuss here?
Yeah.
So my dumbass thought it was like, oh, okay, I want a tattoo to remember Mikey of. Not that he was dying or anything like that, but I just wanted. I was young. I wanted a tattoo, and I wasn't thinking twice about it. So I got a tattoo, and then I guess my recruiter was like, "Hey, you weren't supposed to get a tattoo." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. What can I do about it?" They're like, "You're out." I said, "Okay." I couldn't lose the 2 extra pounds anyway, so it's not like it just wasn't meant to be. But then I ended up getting that job at Pilot, where we all ended up working there for years. And honestly, that was probably one of the funnest jobs I've ever had.
I think we all say that. So
We all have like a side of our story that we can say about why we loved Pilot so much.
yeah, for sure.
We should have been like on a reality show if you think about it.
There's definitely some stories to tell there. Yeah.
a lot of people have said that Pilot should have been a reality show. I think that would have been some good.
I
So
think we can still make that happen.
TLC, if you're listening,
Shit, I'll quit my job right
yeah,
now and go back
I'll
to Pilot.
Go back to Pilot. So okay, so you told us why you didn't go to the Air Force. Now after you got your tattoo and the recruiter said, "Yep, you're out."
Mhm.
You got your job at Pilot.
Mhm.
During then, did you decide to go to college? Did not?
No, yeah, I was actually going to college. I did 2 years of college, Madera State. Um, but again, our brother was sick at that time, and he was, I want to say, I don't know what was going on at the time, but like I couldn't, like really. We got the financial aid, and then I was failing my classes, and then I guess I wasn't getting the financial aid, and I know for sure my parents were not going to pay for our college. It's like either we become successful and we figure it out. And not to say that our parents didn't care, but we weren't rich. Like we weren't rich, so I guess I dropped out essentially and I ended up liking Pilot, and at that moment I wasn't really thinking what I wanted to do with my life. So I
Yeah.
just stayed at Pilot for 5 years.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we all did. We kind of see the checks and we're like, hey, I could do this for a while. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's what a lot of us did. And again, I think we had like you said, we all had a blast and stuff. But I mean, did you ever think about like climbing up the corporate ladder when it came to Pilot, or you were just, hey, I want to get by and just have fun?
I mean, I probably could have if I tried a little harder. I think I have great customer service skills when it comes to talking, but I feel like being a manager, you guys were managers, right? I don't want to deal with angry customers that want to speak to their manager. I didn't want to be that person that gets called on to make. I don't want to deal with it. So I'm better off as a cashier.
Yeah, no, it's not for everyone,
Yeah.
So, working at Pilot, what would you say is probably your best memory there?
Oh man.
It was a good story. It was a good pilot.
The celebrities that would come through.
Oh, tell us about that.
You know, like working when the Drake tour bus stops at one of the stalls to pump gas. Wiz Khalifa, after they have their concerts at the Save Mart Center, they're always stopping by. Who else did we have? Rob Schneider. He came like in a purple fuzzy suit. Um,
I think you guys.
there
Man,
was
you
some
guys,
Mexican singers too. Luis Coronel. Um,
What was I?
something Fidel. I don't know.
I-
There was a lot. I
Yeah.
don't know. I guess at the time I cared about what was popping in music, but no, it was always like the rappers and stuff that would come by at night after their concerts. That was cool. I honestly, that's probably the best part about working at Pilot.
I don't think I remember a famous person coming through there myself. I think I wasn't there all those times, but I do remember when you saw Drake, took a picture.
I didn't take a picture
Oh,
with
who
him.
took the
Remember,
picture?
he was.
I saw the picture
he
on your
was
IG.
rude to somebody, wasn't he?
What?
So the story that I heard, again, this is he said, she said, but Seneca tried getting her boyfriend's shoes signed by him, some Jordans, and he just went like, nah.
Yeah, or it was no, it was his crew or something.
Yeah, they were just
But
like,
remember Scott? Was it Scott? Denny?
Scott
Denny?
Denny? Oh, yeah.
Remember, he was the maintenance guy, and he just comes right next to Drake, and he goes, "Drake, smile."
Oh, damn.
That's the was the infamous picture that they had at Pilot for a while.
No, I think
I
one.
think Roman too took
So,
a picture with him.
Because everyone said, hey, it made it to his website or whatever. The one that I remember was the one where they're walking
Yes.
towards Wendy's.
Yes.
And that made it to their website.
Yeah.
So I don't know
His
who took
Instagram, I
it or
think,
whatever. Yeah, Instagram, whatever. But yeah, I heard so many people talk about that story about the whole Seneca thing, and I was just
I
like,
remember
damn.
all like the females were all pissed, like Drake's a dick, fuck Drake. Shit, I was even saying that too, because
Yeah.
I'm like, well, fuck it, he's not a girl's.
We're working at a gas station. We're cashiers. We're way below them.
Yeah, but I don't know. I was happy for Scott though.
Damn, Champagne Poppy. If you want to redeem yourself, hit us up. Okay, so we talked about one of the best memories.
I mean, there's more, but
there's
I mean,
more.
let's
Do you have
just say
another one?
No.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
No, I
I
can't
mean,
throw.
5 years
I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus.
for a best moment.
Uh,
She has one in mind.
I mean, there's a lot. We had like the pizza kitchen in the back. Remember that other area? Didn't we turn that into a haunted house before?
Yes,
It was set up when Mama would have all the barbecues in the back. I think that was
I
another
think the
good
kitchen
memory.
was back there when we did the whole haunted house thing. Right?
Oh, that was awesome. I have the pictures of us still being zombies dressed up.
Wow, that was a good memory. Really good
Yeah.
memory. Okay, we talked about best memory.
Yeah.
And I know Ed and I could sit here for hours and talk about the worst memories that we've had. And Lupe, tell us about one of the worst memories you had about Pilot.
Okay. There is an angry guy. Well, first it was his girlfriend. I remember we were so busy in the summertime and we were, everybody wanted to pump gas. They're supposed to know what numbers their gas pump is. Well, this girl came in like saying, "Hey, I need 20 on 2." Okay, she leaves. She comes back later, tries to cut the line, and she's like, "That was the wrong pump number." And I go, "Okay, well, which one is it? Like, if nobody's stolen it already." Well, she gave me like a number 4, and I was like, "Ma'am, you're gonna have to tell that pump to stop pumping because they're pumping your fuel." Well, her boyfriend comes in all mad, doesn't know the whole story, and then sees that his girl's mad at me. So he instantly starts cussing at me without even knowing like what was going on. And he starts calling me a fucking bitch and all this and that. Like, do your fucking job right. And mind you, he had just walked into like the conversation not knowing the whole story. So I'm just like, oh, how rude. A guy's talking to me like that and his girlfriend's letting him talk to another female like that. That only shows like, what's really going on. So I was a little mad and that shocked me because I've never had anybody talk to me that way. So yeah, I was upset like the whole day. That's probably one of the worst memories. But another one is, remember that guy that used to come in and want change for cash?
Oh, you were a
And
victim of those?
I was a victim of that. Remember, but
Oh.
mine was only $50. I mean, it's a
Only?
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mama. But remember, he tried to get Amber too.
Did it work?
No, Amber was smart because she already knew this guy was trying to play him. But remember, we would get on our little walkie-talkies, our
Yeah.
little, he's here, psst, psst, he's here.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
they weren't gonna hear us.
Yeah.
We're loud too.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot about the fucking the
I think it's
shortchanger
just
guys.
those two memories that I will forever have in my
Wow.
mind.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a story for a different day, dude. Holy
Yours
crap.
too?
No, it's Danny had fucking FBI and SWAT roll up and shit. God. Hey, I'm not even kidding. That's a story for a different day. Holy
No
shit. Yeah, it
way.
was fucking crazy.
Are you sure they weren't COs?
well,
Getting their food before
it's
work.
it's a mystery till this day.
Uh,
All right, so once I think something must have triggered you to say like, hey, I'm done at pilot. What was that one final like, hey, I'm done, and made you want to switch
um,
to a different chapter in your life?
well, it wasn't really like an instance like that. I just kept thinking to myself, damn, am I going to work here forever? Like, it's already been 5 years. I loved like the friendships we had and how like we all get along with each other, but I couldn't be living on a weekly because we would get paid every week, and it's not like what was minimum wage back then?
Like
Nine
$8,
dollars,
$9
ten.
tops. Yeah.
We would get our raises. Like remember we'd log into the little points, get shirts and stuff like that. But no, I just knew it wasn't a sustainable job for me. So I remember there were some girls there talking about how they applied at the casino. Stacy, Norma, and I think Bertha even followed me. We all just applied. We're like, fuck it, we need another job at least. So then I got hired for Table Mountain, and I worked there for 2 years. But I had already submitted my application for CDCR. Now this is where we start talking about how I got into CDCR. Well, Mario actually had mentioned it to me. I didn't know what a CO was or how it even works. But I do remember, you guys remember the back exit of Pilot where all the truckers come in through?
Yeah.
Well, remember we would have some buses, CDCR buses, come off with the
Yes.
prisoners, and they would walk them to the restrooms. So and I just remember like seeing all these inmates like in chains. I'm like, what the fuck did they do? And you see some COs. Never. This is I had already seen them, but I didn't know what they were. I didn't care. And then Mario, I was having a conversation with Mario, and I go, "Hey, what do you want to like? Are you gonna work here forever?" He goes, "No, I applied for CDCR," and I was like, "What is that?" He was like, "A correctional officer." I was like, "What's that?" And then he explained a little bit. I don't know, but I think I just applied for shits and giggles. Like I had applied at the casino. Oh, let me do CDCR too. I didn't know, so I guess I applied as a joke. I didn't think that I was gonna get this far into the process because there's a process to get hired, and well, that's why I ended up going through and Mario didn't.
Okay.
But we can talk about that later.
Okay. Okay. Um, so you went to Table Mountain.
Yeah.
Didn't come back to pilot after, like I
I
did.
was actually working both jobs for a couple months.
Okay.
So I'd work graveyards at the casino. I want to say I worked from like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then I'd have to make it to work at Pilot at 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I was doing that for, I want to say like a month. And then I ended up putting my 2 weeks in at Pilot because I couldn't do it anymore. There was times where I was like falling asleep driving and I was scared for my life. So I just said I wasn't going to do that anymore. So yeah, I quit
Okay.
Pilot and then I ended up at Table Mountain until I got hired on for CDCR, and they gave me my date to go to the academy.
Perfect. So, I mean, you were talking right now that you kind of did it for shits and giggles.
Yeah,
You said screw it.
I really did.
You said you didn't know what a correctional officer. So
No.
now can you explain to us what is a correctional officer? What does a correctional officer do?
Okay, so I mean, there's many definitions that a lot of people can tell you what correctional officers do, or you know, um, but I mean, basically, a correctional officer is a uniformed law enforcement official. I mean, they oversee, they secure, and they control like incarcerated individuals, and they just maintain safety and security. Um, there's a lot of jobs within being a CO, though, just depending on where you work at in the institution. But I call myself a professional babysitter. That's what I call myself. But yeah, that's honestly what it is.
So before when you were applying and stuff, I'm sure you kind of did your own research on like looking up YouTube videos or kind of just on Google seeing what they do. From what you thought and saw and you perceived the job as, is it Was it something that you're like, oh man, this is completely different than what I thought it was gonna be?
Yes, again, because I didn't do my research. But then once I started doing my research, I was like, oh shit, this is like a pretty badass job. Looking from the outside in, I'm not in yet, but I would see some COs like pumping gas. Once I started to kind of realize what COs were, I started seeing them. So working at Pilot, we're working next to the two institutions in Chowchilla. You would see some COs come in before their night shift, and you just kind of started asking questions. I think at that time I was starting to ask like, "Hey, what do you do? What do you do on your shift at night? Like, are the inmates out? Like, do you watch them sleep? Like asking stupid questions." And he just kind of laughed and he said, "No, but you should apply. It's a good career." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I already have my application in." And so that's kind of how it went.
Okay, okay. So now, when you were doing the whole like looking for not looking, but you applied for it as a joke. You got in, you passed or whatever. Did anything from your past jobs help you get the job that you're at now, or not really?
Yes. Again, I learned my customer service because I was actually pretty shy, but working as a cashier, you deal with customers. You have to talk like, "Hi, how's your day?" Keep a conversation going, kind of like be talkative. And I learned my skills that way, how to talk, how to communicate. I wasn't really nervous because I feel like before I had a social anxiety, like I didn't know how to continue a conversation with someone. But working at Pilot for 5 years, in the food service or cashier, you just meet a lot of people and you just conversate with them. So that broke me out of my shell.
Cool. Now, say I want to become a CO right now. Can you briefly just lay out the process of what it is, my application,
Yeah.
then what happens after that?
If it's the same as how it was back when I applied, I believe you apply online. Just go to the website CDCR. Um, you fill out like any regular application. They should be emailing you soon, and then I think you either go in person, do like a test. They give you like I want to say it's like a psychological test. And then there's a written test. This is a while ago. They do like a colorblind test. And then you have to go get
Oh,
Mario.
sorry, Mario.
So that's why Mario didn't, go all the way. Sorry, backtracking, but sorry, Mario.
He'll
But
he'll be a guest and soon.
he basically didn't make it past that because we found out he was colorblind. So hold on, can I say something real quick? So I remember when I had told Mario that I had applied for CDCR2, he was like, "Oh, cool. Let me know where you're at in the process." So a couple weeks go by, and I do my colorblind test and my fit test and everything. And then I asked him, I go, "Hey, where are you at in the process?" He goes, "Oh, I didn't make it." I go, "Why?" I go, "You were like ahead of me." He goes, "Well, I'm colorblind, so I didn't pass the the colorblind test." Like I didn't want to laugh, and I didn't laugh, but I felt really bad because I'm like, "Oh my god, this whole time you were colorblind." I had no clue. He was like, "Well," I don't think he even knew either.
You had no clue, but if you go down the Pringle aisle, dude, you fucking knew.
You're gonna have to talk about the Pringle story.
Oh, and I have a theft story that I'll wait till Mario comes on so we can
Okay,
share
we'll
that.
wait for Mario. Sorry, Mario. But anyways, he didn't go through with it, and I did. So I was already past everything already. So you go through a couple tests. You get assigned a private investigator. This private investigator will literally investigate your whole life. So do not try to lie. And if you get a new job, if anything changes, if you move, you have to let your private investigator know, because if you don't, you're already being less than truthful, and I think they disqualify you or something like that. But you don't lie. So you go through all that. I think now they do a stress test. So that's the only thing different that they do now. So I wouldn't say it's like a polygraph, but essentially, I guess it kind of is. So it can detect like whether you're stressing about a question that they asked you. So they'll kind of like be like, "Oh, you're on the fence. Like, are you lying or are you being honest?" But if you get through all that, then you get to choose. I don't know if they still give you options, but you can just kind of say what prisons you would like to go to. So you get, I think, I wrote down 5. And then obviously one close to home wasn't here. So I had to start off at a different institution first before I came back home. But
Yeah,
y-
no, that's perfect. That's a good insight on how to apply and what the application holds.
yeah,
Um, let's see. So and guys, for her safety, there's some things that maybe I mean, she's not saying or will not say, and we just don't know who's listening. And
I just don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want to say something that I'm not even correct on. I mean, I'm not even gonna name names because I want to respect them. And
yeah. So I mean, if there's questions that arise and you're like, you know what, that's
yeah, I'd
confidentiality.
rather be safe than
Yeah,
sorry.
we're just gonna be safe and sorry. Just and this holds true to anybody else that's interested in the podcast in the future and wants to be in it. Yeah, there's a lot of that. So, and if you're able to, can you describe what your current role is?
um, like what my job is inside the institution. Well, okay, so I actually just started this new institution. I currently was at one in Soledad. There's two there, but I started off at a level 4 institution, and then I transferred to this one where I'm at now. I want to say in January of 2023.
May I ask, level 1, level 4, is there a big difference? What's the difference?
Oh yeah. You're talking about a minimum facility versus a maximum security in prison. So yeah, it's different. Yards are different. Buildings are different. The way that the cells are different. It just depends. The one that I was at was a level 4, but we did house some level 2s. And we had a minimum facility, but that one eventually did get closed down because they ended up shipping them out to other institutions. But I did work on some of the yards where they had the maximum security, but I wasn't like there every day. That wasn't my job. I roamed around. So I did get a taste of every little job that there was, which is good because I wouldn't want to stay in one position. I want to learn all these other jobs. That way, if I'm put there on a certain day, I can at least learn what to expect and what, you learn something every day working there. That's kind of what I
Okay, and
can
now
say about
that kind of leads me to my next question. So, is there room to grow? Like, if you want to, excel and kind of shoot up the ladder.
Yeah,
So,
most definitely. They say obviously going to college and getting your degree, you do get paid a little bit more, but the problem is the knowledge that you can take from that. Or I always say you can have like a degree, a master's degree on something, but do you actually know the job? No, because you have to experience it first. You have to have like hands-on training. There's a lot of CEOs that didn't go to school, and I can tell you they are probably one of the best CEOs because they learned it from experience and dealing with these, incarcerated persons. So yeah, there's always room for improvement, and you got to know the rules too, like what you can get these incarcerated persons in trouble for. You got to know like the
right,
lingo, I guess.
right. And then I'm sure you can't learn that in a book. I'm sure you can,
Well,
but yeah.
yeah, there's a penal code. No, but we call it the Title 15. It's a book of all like the rules and violations that we can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So, kind of, it sounds like it sounds, I get it. It's a state job. There's a lot of regulations when it comes to that. But now let's kind of deep dive into the fun part. What are some of the perks that you, as a CO, is like? Oh, hey, like you can't. Oh, you're laughing, so there must be something good to it.
No, I guess it's just like stuff that we joke about. But perks? I don't know. I guess you get recognized when you're out in public, which could also be negative. Um, but some people eventually know people who are they knew people that were COs, and you see them out in public and they're in uniform, and you kind of just give them a recognition, like, oh hey, my cousin's a CO too, and then you just start conversating on that. I wouldn't know if that's a perk or not. I don't know. I can't really speak for other COs, but
That's so funny that you say that because I don't know why I decided to do this, but somebody came up to me, tried talking to me because I was in my truck, my
uh-huh.
work truck, and he starts talking to me like, "Hey man, I had termites, 7 years ago. Like, when do I have to get them rechecked? I was like, hey, dude, that's a different type of license. I can't talk about termites. But then I noticed he was, I'm like, hey, dude, like, are
He's a
you?
CO.
Yeah. And I started asking him, like, hey, bro, you're a CO. And he's like, oh, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, you probably get this all the time. He's like, yeah, dude, but it's cool. It's fine. You're like, hey, where does your sister work? I was like, oh, hey, she works at this one over here. He's like, oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow, throw me.
No, no.
But that's so funny you say that because I've actually gotten people coming up to me. Hey, I met so and so at a gas station. So and so said you're their cousin, and
Oh, wow.
because we go by last name, so it's so easy to find out which CO you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you say that because I was like, I don't know why I decided to say it, but this guy looked so familiar. That's why I mentioned you. I was like, I need to know
Oh.
who he's, and I don't know if he's friends with.
So he knew me.
No, he didn't know you, but
he knows my
yes.
boyfriend. Okay.
Oh no,
No?
that's not who I was going with.
Oops.
No, my girl's side of the family.
Oh.
So you know.
okay. Yes.
So I had to have seen him somewhere.
Yes,
I
okay.
don't know where, but yeah. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, but it's so funny that you say that because yeah, I see the green uniform. I'm like, hey, I know what you do, bro. That Niner jersey or that fucking Giants jersey ain't covering
the
shit.
cover
You know?
shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah,
so funny.
I mean, explain that. We do see a lot of COs. I mean, we saw a lot of COs at Pilot that where they wear a big jersey over their uniform. I mean, someone that doesn't know why do they do that?
I think it's just I think that's been going on for a while. I can't really explain that why it started because I think I wear a jacket over. I don't really wear like the jerseys, like the Giants jerseys.
Even though it's 110
My boyfriend does that a lot. I guess I could ask him. I don't know if it's just a boy thing, a guy thing, girls. I mean, I don't even like getting out of my car in my uniform. Like obviously I do have a cover jacket or a cover shirt on, but I don't even like showing my pants. Um I won't pump gas. If I have to, I'll pump like the day before. I don't like getting recognized like that. Unless I'm in uniform like on a transport or something when I have to be out in the public. But I don't care for like showing my uniform.
Kind of
I
recognized.
get scared. I don't know.
Yeah.
You hear all these stories. We have like the CDCR news page, and you hear like stories that happen. I think it's just I don't know if the public has access to it, but they tell stories of stuff that happens like off duty. And I've heard like a story of like where this officer was off duty and he was with his family, and this like I don't remember if it was an incarcerated person that recognized him and started shooting. I don't know. I might be misinterpreting the story, but if you guys, all my CO friends, if you know what I'm talking about, comment.
No, see, that's crazy because we don't get those types of stories. The stories that come out in the public are a CO had sex with a fucking inmate. That's the shit that we hear.
That
and I'm
was
just like,
an
whoa.
officer. I think that was Merced, a Merced cop or something.
Oh, I don't know. I thought.
I mean, no, there's stories. That's again, it's just girls get. We get
lonely?
bad reps. No,
Oh.
no, we get bad reps because, like, okay, we can talk about this, okay? Being a female CO is hard. You have to, like, prove yourself in a way. And men, too, when they start off, I feel like everybody has to prove themselves. You go in, you're this beautiful girl. You can't help it if you're naturally pretty. I mean, I'm not talking about myself, but there's a lot of beautiful COs, and I love the shit out of that, because they're not afraid. But it's one thing to just be, a female CO, but then like everybody has this thing like, oh, she's a female CO. I bet you she sleeps around with all the COs and all that, or she has a management job. Management job is when you get like a job that's like your supervisor gives you that job and nobody can take it away.
Oh, okay.
So if you get one of those jobs, you're looked at like, oh my God, she's a Saturday, Sunday holidays babe. Like she's fucking someone. But it's not what it is. I don't know. I've just always kind of, if you're pretty, you're pretty.
Yeah, definitely. I think we would like to know, is the job stressful?
Oh, 100%. It is very stressful. It has changed me so much. I know that people drink a lot more. I don't remember myself ever drinking that much beer before in my life since I started the department. But you need someone to hang out with outside of work. I know where I lived, I didn't have family there, so I turned to alcohol a lot. And I think that's why they're so big on mental health right now, is because a lot of people suffer from it. And, you're going into work into a very negative environment. You can either go in with a negative mind, have a worse day in there, come out more depressed, or you can try to turn your day around and think positive, like, hey, I have to remember at the end of the day, I get to go home. These guys don't.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy that you kind of mentioned the whole mental health, because when I'm talking to you, or I'm talking about like your friend's schedule or whatever, you're always saying, "Oh, hey, they're pulling a double, or they're pulling a trip, whatever."
yeah.
I don't understand your guys' lingo, but I'm just like, "Holy shit, how many hours is that?"
Yeah.
So like, can you go in little detail on like what the schedule entails?
Yeah. So, everybody has their own job. It varies in hours. So you have first watch, second watch, and third watch. First watch is essentially graveyard. You start at 2200 hours to 0600 hours. Military time, it's 10 to 6 a.m. The second watch shift either starts at 6 in the morning or and ends at 2. Third watch is from 2 to 10. Now, oh, that's a perk of this job. Swaps. Okay. You can have as many days off as you want. Okay. You just have to make sure you find somebody that can work your shift, and then you just pay them back a different day.
Oh,
Instead of burning your vacation hours or your sick time or whatever, you can find an officer that can work your shift for that day, and you just pay him back later on.
pay him back as in you'll work for them.
Yeah, like I work for you, you work for me.
Oh, okay.
Like we'll pay each other back. So like say I needed tomorrow off. Hey, can you work for me tomorrow? You say yes. I said, okay, I'll work for you next week. What day do you want? And you say, give me a Saturday, whatever. Okay, cool. Our swaps are paid off, and that's like an extra day that you could have off. But when you pay them back, you can either come in on your shift that you're already working. So you could pull a 16-hour shift. Does that make sense?
Do you get overtime because of that?
No, because you're agreeing to work that person back. It's only overtime if you voluntarily take an extra job. This one you're owing to somebody.
Oh, okay. And that's okay. That's the thing.
So
So you're not. You're literally. So you're working
you're
for
working.
Danny.
You're
Danny.
working 2 shifts. Yes.
You're Danny when
Yeah,
you're
like
working
one
for me.
day myself, and then you're still yourself. They just
Yeah.
change
No.
your
No.
name.
Yeah. No. I get what you're saying.
But so you can work 16 hours in a day. Overtime though, now that's voluntary unless you get mandated. So there's a list, you sign up, they go by seniority. So if you have the most seniority, you're going to get called first, and then it just goes down the list. They'll offer you whatever job you want. So let's say you take a building or whatever. You're a building officer, okay? And then you want to take an over shift. They'll call you, be like, hey, I have this other building open. Okay, cool. So you'll just go to that job after 2 or whatever shift in the watches you're
Fill
working.
that.
Yeah, so that's how it works. And then that's overtime. So you can work up to 10 overtimes. And that's just kind of how it goes. That's one of the perks is swaps. So having to make your own, you can kind of create your own schedule if you think about it. But that's one of the perks. So, yes.
Awesome. So, is there any continued education or trainings that you must attend or you must do, or is it you do the academy, you're in the job, and you're in
Yeah.
it forever?
If you're in a job where you have to carry a weapon, you have to do what's called quarterly trainings. You go to shoot every 3 months, and you have to like pass, your shooting qualifications and all that. And then yearly we do training where it's like you're there for a whole week, and they go over mental health. They go over a lot of different subjects like weapons. You learn CPR. It's just a bunch of classes. I can't name them all right now, but it's a lot. It's really
Okay. So with hey, for corrections, hey, you've made it. You're in it. You've been in how long?
You know what? August 1st was 8 years.
So 8 years.
Eight
You've
or
been in it for
9.
8 years. So what's next? What's next for you? What do you plan? Do you want to move up with CO? Do you want to?
No.
Damn, that was a fast no.
No, again, I don't care about being a supervisor or anything like that. I'd rather just do my work, go home at the end of the day, because it's more stress. It's more added stress. You got to deal with, your COs either being subordinate or doing something, and then on top of that, the incarcerated person. So
So can you just move to a different job or a different role maybe?
I transferred to a different institution, so I've only worked there for a year.
Oh,
When I
sorry.
started off there, I have to call for my job. So I'm like one of the nobodies, whatever. I get put wherever. So that's what I was doing, which is good. I want to, so I can learn every single job there first, so I can get comfortable, and then eventually, when we get to choose our jobs, I can find something I'm comfortable in.
Got it. Okay. So right now you could say you're a relief.
I'm
You're
a
a re-
relief. Yeah, I
okay.
guess. Yeah, I'm a relief.
Okay. And you've been there
Coverage.
for a year. You're still in that role where you have to
Yes.
call for your job.
Yes.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
So we'll go on to back to I want to be a CO. I don't know where to go. What advice would you give to someone looking into becoming a correctional officer? Um, would you encourage them to go to college first, or
Yeah, I mean, it's always good because if you do want to promote, not like me, but if you do want to promote and you see yourself, climbing up the ladder, you can either transition into like a correctional counselor. Um, you are still considered a correctional officer. I believe you still have like the perks and all that. But there's a sergeant, there's a lieutenant, there's a captain, there's an AW. So there's a lot of promotions you can get within. And then there's also the crisis response team. That's like all like the fit guys and girls too. Um, they call it CERT, but it's the crisis response team, and they actually help out outside of the CDCR agencies. They actually like help out with like SWATs and all that. So yeah, you can get anywhere. And then if people don't want to be COs, they can always go to like sheriffs, or they can go to PD. I mean, it's their choice. It's what do people say? The world is your oyster.
I don't know, but yeah, it sounds right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds right to me. But okay. Ed, do you have some viewer or not viewer yet listener questions?
yeah. So what's it called? We decided to kind of make it a little interactive. We made it a little social media, Instagram, and with that, hey, we kind of post what guests we're having, and they have questions they want to ask you. So I mean, again, not everybody has a CO, a sibling or friend or whatever. So these are just kind of questions that they've been pondering. So this is from Vettel, our cousin, dude. So Vettel asks, "Hey, how different was schooling/training you received versus the actual work you do in the day? In the day to
Wait.
day
Can
stuff.
can you read that again?
How different was the schooling/training you received?
Oh,
Like, hey,
in the academy.
yes, versus the actual work you do in the day to day stuff.
Oh my God! It was a complete joke. No offense, Sacramento. No offense. But you literally walk, I remember my first day walking into a building. So, the first institution that I worked at, we have 270s buildings, and then we have the 180. So, okay, I want to say we call them A, B, C, D, or what are those called? Like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta. We had those kinds of yards. Okay, so I remember walking into Bravo Yard one day, and it was a 270. So you literally walk in, it's essentially like a U shape. I want to say there's 132 cells on the bottom tier, the second tier. Do your math, okay? So 2 inmates can be in one cell. There's 132 on the bottom and 132 on the top. I might be wrong on the number, but it's like over 500 inmates. So you walk into the building. There's 3 officers. They put me into work a building. I remember I was like floor 1 or something. So I go in there and it's just another officer, and then it's a control cop. You don't learn how to work buildings at the academy. You just take nothing but tests, and you see some videos, and then you learn how to shoot. You learn how to fight, with your instructors, but I mean, you always have to be prepared. But it's nothing like actually the feeling you get walking into a building for your very first time. The inmates can fucking smell you. They know when you're new. They see your crispy uniform. They can read you. That's all they do there is just read, read, read. So I'm walking in there. There's a control officer who's in charge of all the doors, the cell doors, every single door they're in control of. Okay, you're with 500 and something inmates. It's just you and 2 partners. Anything can pop off at any time. which has before, but it's just like you have to go in with that mentality that anything can happen at any second and you always have to be prepared. Um Sometimes there's good days, there's bad days, but you just keep that mentality and then just make sure everyone's safe. You go home at the end of the day, that's it. But what was the question again? How was training at the academy? Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke. Sorry.
Hey, so you were kind of talking about like anything can pop off or whatever.
Yeah.
I've had the luxury of being able to go inside the prison, for work for safety clean. And dude, they are like some of the nicest people ever. I'm just like, why are you in here?
The inmates?
Yeah. And they could be like
Well,
like an old lady, an old guy, and I'm just like, I had to go to the auto
but
shop.
see, that's the difference between a level 4 institution and a level 1. So, the prison that I work at currently right now, um
I
what
believe
can
they're level 1, 2.
so they have they do house level 2, but you got to understand too, it has now been identified as a re-entry hub for CDCR. So a re-entry hub, that institution's going to focus on needs based on rehabilitative services, and it's so that they can prepare them to go back out into the world. Yes.
And
So technically it's not really a prison.
is it similar to St. Quentin though?
I don't know. I've never worked at San Quentin, but I mean,
I know.
I don't know.
Last year I got the luxury of, not the luxury, but I got the opportunity to tour St. Quentin, and I even prison is.
Did you check out their new hospital?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
No, but we went around. The culture there is a little different. They're even trying to take the prison word out of it, and they're trying to. It's a rehabilitation center,
Yeah,
just
kind of like us, a
like the
reentry
same one.
hub. I think
Exactly.
both of the institutions that I was at before are starting to do that. They call it the California model. News. But it's just they're trying to make these inmates residents again. Like they just I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
hate
I
it.
mean, I totally agree because my experience was, dude, there's like a full auto body shop. It's like a classroom setting. Like
Yeah.
they have a college. Like, dude, we have to pay for this stuff outside, and these guys get this luxury for free. So I was just like, holy crap, dude! It was they're taking apart a whole car so they can learn how to be a mechanic and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was just like, wow, dude, these guys. Again, I did not feel threatened at all. These guys were asking if I needed help, and I was just like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
And they told me not to interact, but these guys were interacting with me because hey, I'm somebody new. These guys haven't talked to anybody outside. And
Okay. So with you saying that, okay, let's say you see him again and you keep seeing him every time you come and your job that you used to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all inmates are bad. Absolutely not. A lot of them, we're all criminals. We just haven't all got caught. That's how I see it. But the ones that did do dirty shit, like whatever, they're there doing their time. They're not fucking with me. I'm not fucking with them in that kind of way. Like, yeah, let them do their job. Let them do their sentence and leave. Okay. But that's when they can kind of read you, and you never know. Like, the next time you go in, he asks you for a favor, and then you're like, yeah, okay. Well, next time he's going to ask you for a different favor. Next thing you know, he's going to ask you, hey, can you sneak this in for me? I'll give you money for it. That's how they kind of get you. So you got to watch out, too, because I think a lot of the dirty stuff that comes in are from, like, the vendors that come from outside the institutions.
Ooh.
From experience, working at the other institution, you kind of hear word of mouth what's going on.
So Ed, what did you sneak into that prison then?
Hey, no, I got friends who work for Squad. No.
Hey, no, crazy part is though when you are what's it called? So you're on a 1 year like guess you could say is guest list when you're on a vendor. So every year you have to get
you're
your
on that entry list
yeah.
at the
So your truck gets
Sally
checked.
Port.
If you tell them that hey, I have 2 wrenches, 1 screwdriver, and like hey, 2 55-gallon trucks, you better have that.
And
If
you
you
better
have
show it.
and if you have 1 extra screwdriver, hey, dude, you're denied for the day, and you got to try again tomorrow. So it's they are very detail oriented there, and I did not fuck around. And you are constantly followed by whoever it is. There's a C. I don't know if it's a CO, but just like somebody that's on you 24/7.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. Well, good insight to someone that works inside the CO. I mean, inside a prison, and also good insight from Ed that has gone into the prison to do whatever he used to do.
But
I
it's
don't know.
funny how like you guys were only in there for a couple hours and you think, man, these inmates are super nice. It's just like, yeah, but you don't deal with them inside the buildings.
Definitely.
You see them at their worst. Either they get a bad call or news, oh, my aunt's dying or something like that. Like they go through emotions too. But again, they chose that life.
Definitely. Yeah. Or they made a decision that
Yeah.
caused them to be there. Now can we? Yeah. Vettel. Vettel.
Oh,
I
my
just
bad,
gotta-
Vettel. Fuck.
No, no,
We didn't
no,
even answer
no.
her question.
No, her question's being answered. And
Okay.
and Vettel, good
So
questions.
yeah.
Thank you for
Academy's
that
bullshit.
one. She has another question.
Okay.
I think some of the listeners are probably
God, my fans.
want to hear. Are there any crazy stories that you're able to share with us that are interesting?
Yeah, there's a lot, but I mean, just to respect my other partners, and I don't want to get in trouble, but I will say this, and this is just because it happened with me. Well, and my roommate. I'll tell you my old roommate story as well. I'm sure she wouldn't mind saying it, but I remember my first time seeing a dead body, and this is where I get where I talk about you get desensitized to stuff like out in the world once you see it so many times inside an institution. I remember coming in and I had to work a swap, which I had to work for somebody, right? So this was a 10 p.m. shift to 6 a.m. I was working 2 buildings. So I was going in for my night shift. Well, there happened to be a murder there like a couple hours before, 2 hours before. So I think I can talk about this, but basically there was a cell up on the second tier, and it was like med pass or something, and they were about to go in while the other next door neighbors came in and like murdered him, whatever. Med pass is medication distribution. So they either walk out to the medical and get their prescriptions and then come back inside and call it night. But he was murdered and he was left on the tier. There was a sheet over him. That's all they did. But I had to work that night with the dead body out there because we can't touch the body. We can't do anything until the coroner comes in. And I remember that night, you know what? That coroner had also passed away. So there was a new coroner that was assigned to come. And I think it was his first time coming. And he was kind of late and slow. And I remember because I waited for him forever. And just seeing that dead body there, passing by the cell doors, I literally had to like step over him to do my counts, my security checks with my flashlight. I'll never forget it though, because like there was a moment where like I accidentally moved the sheet and I saw his face and I was like, oh my God, he's dead. But like me, to make myself feel better, I kind of like turned it into a positive. It's like, well, at least I know he's not getting me. You kind of have to think about stuff like that though, to kind of like not get you scared. You don't want the inmates to see that you're freaked out and stuff, because they'll see you as weak, and COs as well, your partners. This is what I mean when you got to show yourself. You can't really show when you're scared to do something. Like you have to act, and I don't know. My first time seeing a dead body, it fucked me up.
No,
I'm not
I mean,
gonna lie.
everyone's got a different way of coping with with themselves. But I mean, honestly, that is a good way to kind of think about it, to kind
Yeah.
of keep yourself going.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, damn, that's.
But like, let's say for instance, you were to see a stabbing so many times, you see a lot of fights happening, and then you see something out in the street. That's not really gonna interest you anymore because you're like, I see that shit all the time at
Oh,
work.
so do you kind of get
That's
like
what I
numb
mean
to
by
it?
desensitizing to
Oh,
like the
shit.
stuff that happens. Like if somebody were to get, I think maybe a shooting would be different. But like if if there would be a fight outside, I wouldn't be so interested to go run and see it. Like I
Right.
wouldn't care. To you guys probably, because you guys don't really see fights as much. Or I guess it just depends on you. But it changed me a lot. I will say that it really does change you.
Yeah, that's so true. Damn. Well, that was I think that's a good way to kind of to end on a good note. To be honest with you.
Oh, it's over.
I mean, that's a crazy ass story, dude.
Yeah.
Um.
Oh, my roommate too.
Oh, go ahead. No, keep going.
Okay. This is the one that I wanted to talk about. Okay. My old roommate, which is a female, I want to say she's about 5'2". She was working one of those 270 buildings. And
What's a 270 building?
so they're structured. It's like how I described. You walk in and it's like a U shape.
Okay,
like,
yeah, okay, that's what you were saying. Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those buildings, and then there's like a little table right in the middle. So when the inmates are having what's called day room recreational um, day room. They're able to hang out all around you. There's steps, there's places that they can't go, but the story was there is an inmate there that was in that building that wasn't supposed to be there. So I don't know if it was just his way of getting out, like we call it piecing up, like he wanted to get out of the building. So I think he thought that by getting out, he could hit a CO, which he did. He ended up assaulting my roommate at the time, knocked her down, and there was other inmates in that day room that defended my roommate and ended up beating up that inmate that attacked the female
Oh, wow.
CO. And they fucked him up, and so and so. But I responded. It was considered a code 2. So that means the sister yard, goes and responds as well because we need more backup. So I remember running and I remember sprinting as soon as I saw my roommate because she had blood on her face. So I remember running and I was like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" And then they were like, that's when I realized she's the one that got hit. I didn't hear her radio call, but I remember like when that day it went down, I went to the hospital with her. I actually was able to go ride with her in the ambulance. Did I ride? No, I didn't ride in the ambulance. I didn't make it. But anyways, I got a ride to there. I took her stuff and I was there with her and I ended up going home. But that was like the moment where we realized like, man, these guys don't give a shit who you are. You can be nice to them, but when they want something, they'll get their way and they'll just who knows what they'll do.
And do you have? I mean, you talk about having training, like shooting training and stuff. Do you guys carry guns? Like, do you guys carry
Like,
guns?
are we allowed to
Yeah,
carry
like
guns outside
no. Like
in the institution?
yeah, while you're
There's
working.
certain posts. There's certain posts that you do have. Not inside the institution. No, control cops. Yes.
Yes.
I want to say there's only 2 though, and then you have central control. But no, we don't like openly carry.
So
No, we
essentially,
can't.
you're defending yourself.
Oh
if
yeah,
needed
we're
with
hands
your
on. So we have a
Okay.
duty belt. We have a pepper spray. We have like those bombs that you can throw, like the CS. You don't know what that is. What are
No,
those
no.
called? Pyrotechnics?
Is
or
it the
something?
ones that like throw smoke or
Yeah,
something? Okay,
it'll
they
like
pop and
blind
then
their
smoke.
eyes and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
And we have is that the shot? We can defend ourselves. We have a baton,
Okay.
and if we want to get hands on, if we have to. But again, there is a
A code or
use of force.
Wow.
We have to abide by it because we don't want to use excessive force because we go to court.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you don't want to be
It's just
under
like in the outside.
investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good job. You just really got to be careful now. There's cameras, there's body cams, and
All right. Well, I see the shot of tequila there. But before we head into that, just final thoughts. Final thoughts. Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience?
no.
I think we covered a lot.
Wait, are those all the questions that
This
I got
is all the
asked?
questions. Yeah.
Oh wow.
You could keep going. um. Yeah. So if you don't have any other questions, I'll hand it over to Ed.
Awesome.
So yeah, I know that it kind of, what's it called? The podcast. You're like, oh man, you get kind of nervous, and you're like, oh, but at the end of the day, it's just a conversation.
Well, yeah, because like I don't really like talking about my job just because it's not like, to me it's whatever. It's just a job. But I can see from other people, they think like, oh wow, she's a CEO, she must be a badass. But some people are, some people, like me, I just like to keep my life private when it comes to my career and stuff.
Yeah. Well, when you say that, you're like, oh, hey.
Especially now that I'm a mother, it completely changed me. I
Oh.
see things different. I don't even want to.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure you probably think of, hey, maybe I'm not gonna pull that double because I don't know. Maybe time with your kid is more important.
Yeah.
Than that paycheck.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
or just putting yourself in dangerous
I
situations.
just don't want to work in a negative environment.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But you're also saying that hey, other people want insight. It doesn't matter what kind of job it is. I mean, I think any type of
Yeah.
other job is interesting. Dude, I could be talking to a garbage man. I know what he does, but I'm like, hey, dude, what does that job entail? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just different to other people, and a lot of people like that type of insight. But again, this was I think
Good retirement. Great medical. So if you want a reason to join for that. Know that there's limited overtime. At least now you can work as much as you want. If you're in it for the money, just remember you have a family to go home to. So keep that in mind.
All right, cool. We'll end on that good note then. All right, Lupe. Thank you. Thank you for being on the podcast. Danny, you got anything to say?
Yeah. Thank you, Lupe.
You're welcome.
Thanks again. We really appreciate you coming out here and telling us a little bit about your job and your experiences and your journey. Thank you, everybody that's listening. I know Ed and I, like I said, this is a little hobby that we were like, we should really do something like to spend some time because I didn't have a hobby, and Ed, I think he said he didn't have a hobby.
Watching F1. That's my hobby.
Oh, watching F1. Yeah, I mean, I watch TikTok for being a
that's
hobby.
Yeah.
It's also an addiction. I think.
Yeah,
that I
that's
have.
what I was gonna say. Man. It's probably an addiction.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Everybody that's listening, thank you so much for listening.
And I just want to say thank you to everybody that kind of reached out and kind of had nothing but great things to say about the first podcast. It wasn't scripted. It was just something that we kind of, we did off of the top of our noggins. And, and that's kind of what we want to keep doing, It's going to be non-edited. It's just going to be free-flowing. And, we just want to have friends with friends. We want to have fun with the guests that we bring on,
Lupe, as a guest, how were we? I mean, did we? What do you think of the whole back thing? Back
So,
office site.
Before the podcast had started, I was, chit-chatting it up, and then I look at the TV and I see like this PowerPoint presentation on the big screen of like all the questions they're going to ask me. I'm like, "Oh shit, this is legit." He's like, "Well, yeah, we're not fucking around." I said, "Oh,
No.
Okay, I am on Call Her Daddy."
I mean, as all you guys are listening, I mean, this isn't edited. It's just flowing. Questions are about you, and I think that made it easier for you to answer these questions because it's answers you already know, right?
Yeah.
So once again, thank you all very much. We will try to post once a week.
And if I said anything wrong about CDCR or if I'm wrong about something, correct me on the comments. I only have 8 years in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just to kind of protect her identity or whatnot, if you guys have any questions, you guys want to know more about it, feel free to reach out to the our Instagram page. And if you guys have questions that we probably didn't answer, hey, feel free to hit us up and we'll reach out to her and we'll get that answered.
Yeah, Ed, drop the @ What's our Instagram page name?
Oh yeah, that was it was early or it was probably a late night, but it's I know the the podcast is Job Adventures with Ed and Danny.
No, hold on.
Our that's the name of the podcast.
Sorry.
That's the name of the podcast.
Job.
But the email that I ended up making is Work Adventures. So if you guys have any questions or if you want to inquiry about, hey, being a guest, feel free to drop us an email at workadventures with Ed and Danny at gmail.com.
Not to be confused with our @
Job Adventures.
Instagram, Job Adventures _ E and D. No, I'm sorry. Job Adventures E _ D.
Yes. And again, social media is probably the easiest way to get a hold of us. So if you want to inquire about that. And, this is just going to be bonus. This isn't part of the pod. But, Lupe, you want to take your shot? So we put up a poll today. And the poll says, everyone wants you to take the shot of tequila. So we got Herradura straight from Mexico. So you got your Dr. Pepper Zero, dude. There's your chaser. So before you get started, go for it.
This is going to be on the Instagram stories. I thought it was a chaser, not a before her.
I know. What are you doing?
Sorry, she was taking
the
a
shot first.
Okay, so I guess someone taught her something. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. There, shots in. She's done.
And there's the chaser.
Maybe we should have taken a shot before.
Yeah.
Maybe next time. Next time.
Woo. And you guys oh, God. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Check us out on the next pod.
Peace out.